How's it going, folks? Welcome back to the studio. Today I've got some more iterative design improvements on my power tool battery system. Started with just the camera, then added batteries for the monitor, and most recently added a wireless HDMI transmitter. And now I need to do the same thing, but for the camera itself. Currently the wireless transmitter's just dangling off an HDMI cord and it keeps dying during shoots. So I really got to get this thing integrated into the design and powered off of this big battery. Now when I made this version that's on the camera right now, I did it with the intention of expandability, but now that I have a new printer and some different ideas about how that's going to work, I'll just start over with a new one. In a lot of ways, even though I've been using this system for over a month at this point, this will be the first nice version of it. Check out my new box of bits. And none of this stuff is expensive at all. I got a bunch of male and female wires for DC power. I've got the big voltage step downs I started with and the smaller ones that I've been using lately. And now I have low voltage cutoff units. These are going to add some bulk to the design, but I think they're worth it. Basically, you set a voltage in there, say 15 volts or something like that, and when it gets below that point, it'll shut off. So that way, if I accidentally leave one of these things on, then it's not going to drain the battery all the way down and kill it. That weakens its performance over time. And lastly, finally, I have DeWalt battery pins. They took like a month to come in from China, but now I can use these instead of cutting scrap metal to make them, and they only cost $1 or $2. We'll need one of those, one low voltage cutoff, 2, maybe 3 voltage converters, about 8 volts for the camera, 4 volts for the wireless HDMI, and possibly 5 volts for my wireless mic, 2 female power ports, 1 power switch, and actually 3 ports. I believe that is all we need. So here's a version that I previously designed for the version 3 of the camera adapter, but unfortunately a lot of this has to go out the window because I wasn't allowing for space for the low voltage cutoff. In a way, actually, it makes the most sense to go all the way back to the basics here. I'm thinking for this version I'll do a segmented design, so this is just the battery clip, and then I've designed a bracket that'll screw in from the back here and from the bottom at the corners, and from here I can build out whatever internals I want. Test print of the clip design seems to work great. That just slots in. And then I think first thing, we'll throw the biggest element in there, the voltage cutoff, because that comes up about 15 millimeters. So then I'll just throw some tripod mounting spots in there. Then it'll be positioned like this against the camera. So I don't want to put much here because that's where the screen is. I don't want to put much here because there's buttons. Could I fit 3 ports and the switch on the top? I believe that is doable, actually. And with that, I think that part is done. It's going to be a much thicker thing, but I think it's worth it for the low voltage cutoff. Alright, I've got all my parts printed off, and I'm pretty sure I said the same thing last time, but this should be more plug and play than previous versions. So our pins slot into there. Then that should go into here, except it's not fitting. Just some minor clearance adjustments with the soldering iron. Okay, that works now. You know what I didn't think about? The pins don't go straight into the low voltage cutoff. They have to go down to the switch first so that this doesn't drain out the battery. So that is the first thing I have to get wired, actually. Get that soldered up, run that wire down, and that's going to connect up to the positive terminal on the battery. Now I should be able to get it calibrated to my cutoff point. If I flip this on. Oh, I wired it backwards. Hopefully I didn't just fry this then. That's okay though, I can just desolder and flip them. Now does it turn on? Yes, it does. So I'm gonna set the cutoff at 15.3. I've heard that's a good spot for 20 volt batteries. And before I seal everything up, let me check there's actually 18 volts coming out. There is, so we're good. Now I can wire up the rest of it. I'm going to steal some of the wiring out of the current version I've been using on my camera because I did do all this correctly. I just changed how the case is going to be. Basically, our 18 volt comes in. This one's putting out 8 volts for the camera. We'll have another one doing 5 volts for the microphone, and then I'll have a third one doing 3.4 or whatever for the wireless HDMI. These cables are pretty short, so instead of running these as my input wires, I'm actually just going to chain the third regulator back here. And for the last one in the chain, I'm not stepping down voltage 3 times. All the inputs are coming straight from 18 volt. I don't know if one way or another is better, but I assume stepping through less converters is the best option, especially because each unit can only handle so many amps. And then I can throw some new output wires on there. Oh, actually, there's no reason to wire up separate wires here because the DC ports that I'm using this time actually have wires on them, so I can just put this straight to the converter. I'm just trying to be a little cleaner with my wiring where I can be. All right, we've got our chain now, 18 volt in and 3 different voltages out. And with that, I think we're all good to get this compartment sealed up. Sweet. Put a little screw hole here so this doesn't rattle around at all. Battery plate should slot in. That gets screwed together as well. Before I move on, I should double check this actually works. Turns on. Now I can get my power ports in their places. It's a little tighter than I imagined, but they do fit. Absolute rat's nest, but the lid should go on. Now I can set my output voltage on all these, which will be 8, 5, and 3.8. And then the lid goes on. So there's the main unit, and I can melt in some tripod screws. Lovely. So now I can stick this onto my tripod plate and size it up to figure out where I want to put the wireless HDMI, and we'll get right into that after a short ad break. This video is once again sponsored by the all-in-one website builder Squarespace. With a whole bunch of good-looking and easy-to-use templates, you can put together a great-looking website without needing to know how to program or anything. But it's not just for galleries and portfolios. If you're running a business, whether physical or online, service-based, Squarespace has you covered with the tools you need. I know there's probably other freelance videographers watching this right now. You can send quotes and invoices all through their platform. You can sell digital products, physical products, print all your shipping labels straight through them. It's a great all-in-one option for a whole variety of creative endeavors. So you can go to squarespace.com, screw around with their website builder for free, and when you're ready to launch, use code Monsma for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. All right, now back to finishing this adapter. I actually had at least the camera plugged in during that ad read, and what I'm noticing is I do have some space here to throw my wireless unit in. However, I am going to have to extend this power cord for the camera, and I will definitely have to label these ports so I don't accidentally plug something into the wrong voltage. So there's the unit. The HDMI will definitely be able to fit right there. I would like to 3D print a new housing for this. I don't know if I have time. I have to catch a flight in 2 hours, and this needs to be done before then. I'm just gonna do what I did last time, reuse this half of the case and then print a new lid for it. I'll use these screw holes to attach it to the main unit. Seems plenty secure to me. Then I just gotta wire up a new cable for this. I can cut a little access hole for that to route outwards. And this goes to the lowest voltage port. I'm gonna label 5 volt as blue, 4 volt as green, and 8 volt as orange. Hopefully TSA doesn't think this is a bomb in a couple hours. Lovely. Okay, I've extended my battery cable and that 3D print is done. I should just be able to force that in there. Got the corner radius wrong. Now, yep. Sweet, that looks nice. Just lock that in a little bit with some melting. Now the last thing I need to do is make a USB-C cable. That 5 volt port is going to charge my wireless mic. I already tested that it would work off 5 volts using this little thing, and I'm just going to make a better version of it. That should do. That can get labeled and plugged into that middle port. And now I believe the new battery rig is done. Okay, so here's how it all goes together. The rig attaches to the tripod, then the camera slides onto that. I just noticed the whole thing is slightly askew. Maybe it needs a support that ties into the top of the camera eventually. Then the battery gets plugged in. Wireless HDMI is already connected, and the wireless mic can get plugged in. Hopefully that doesn't screw with my audio. Oh, it definitely can't charge while running. My audio was screwed there. I'm not sure why that's the case, but anyway, at least I don't have to unplug this and plug it into the wall every time I want to charge it now. But maybe if I do what I did here and bypass it straight to the battery, that won't be an issue. I don't know, we'll see. As always, more to experiment with. Well, that's a pretty sweet rig. Not quite as compact as before, but it does a lot more. But I have to leave for the airport in 20 minutes, and I'll let you know if TSA throws any red flags. Okay, so for better or for worse, this video is not over yet. I did make it to Colorado, and TSA did not confiscate any of my camera gear. But now my camera, the one camera that I brought, is not working because, of course, out of like the 5 times that I've done this, it works perfectly, and then the one time I fly 1,000 miles with it, it doesn't. And I can't switch back to using stock batteries because the power tool batteries are the only ones I brought with me. So I gotta fix this. It is kind of fun though, because I'm filming this segment on my buddy John's Canon M50, which is what I started my channel on, so this is a fun throwback. So here's the issue. It's really weird. I haven't fully diagnosed it yet. The camera turns on and functions perfectly normally. It won't die at all like this. But then the second I press the record button, did it magically fix itself? Okay, well, this is confusing me. What's been happening is the second I click the record button, the camera says battery exhausted and cuts out. It won't record for more than 5 seconds or so. So I'm thinking it's possible it's not bugging out right now because it's pretty cool outside and I was filming inside and it was hotter earlier when it was bugging. Maybe it's the voltage regulator freaking out for no reason. So we'll just open that puppy up. And this thing is pretty hot, so maybe it's just that this needs more airflow than I gave it. I'm just gonna completely bypass this by throwing all my wires on the output side so the voltage cutoff actually isn't doing anything. And then plug this whole mess into the battery. Start rolling and we'll see if I get the cutout. Okay, well, I've made a giant mess, but everything's working now. The camera, the wireless HDMI, even toying around with the wires, nothing seems to be disconnecting. So conclusion, I guess, either the cheap low voltage cutoff unit had its settings wrong, or it was overheating, freaking out, and cutting out regardless of the voltage. My hunch is it is overheating because I had it pressed right up to the back plate of the camera. That's also where the camera's heat comes out of. So that is definitely something to fix. I'm hoping this doesn't need active cooling like a tiny fan, but that might be something that's necessary. For this trip, I think I'm just gonna leave that bypassed and not have to deal with it. I'm gonna put this back together now. Okay, now this thing is actually usable. Thank you for your service, Canon M50. I enjoyed working with you again. Lesson learned on this one, creating a completely new battery adapter with like 3 new features in 3 hours before leaving for a flight was probably a bit too ambitious. To recap, out of the things that I added, about half of them worked out. New vertical orientation, that works great, buys me more space around the controls, probably the way I should have designed it from the start. The low voltage cutoff in an effort to not damage my batteries if I accidentally run them all the way down, likely just needs better airflow so it doesn't overheat. The added port and cable for 5-volt USB charging does work. I just neglected to test if my wireless Rode mic would actually charge while recording and not screw up the audio quality. So that's a half win. It works, it just doesn't do what I thought it would. And the new port spoofing the battery for the wireless HDMI does work excellently, which is great because that was the main thing that I was redoing this for. But that's it for this episode of Iterative Design on the drill battery camera power solution. I will share STLs and possibly sell a kit once I have it actually figured out into a point that I'm confident in it. But for today, that's all. Thank you for your time. And I was going to say I'll see you tomorrow, but I won't. I'll see you very shortly. Also, small addendum on the wireless mic unit. I noticed when I plug it in to charge it, the levels on the unit don't change at all. See, just the basic white noise level is right there, very low. And when I plug it in, that isn't going to change. So the audio coming to this is completely fine. But looking at the levels over here on the camera side, see, that's the floor, just that tiny little green bar. But when I plug in to charge it, it's going crazy, just only on the camera, not on the mic pack. If anybody knows why that's happening and how to potentially solve it, let me know. But otherwise, I'm just gonna hardwire straight into the battery on this thing. That's all now, for real. Have a good day.